Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me on this Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you are having a good time. I hope you are enjoying your day. This is just one Mother's Day where I am totally happy and excited because for a long time for me it wasn't easy to enjoy Mother's Day because it was that day where I remember that I don't have a mother, and all I was up to was cry and just wanting my mommy back. And today, and probably the past 4 years, I have been able to not just stay in a place where I am confused, where I am feeling that I don't have something. I am so glad that I am going to have amazing women join me to celebrate Mother's Day with me. And first up, I've got the amazing Penny Lebyane. She's just joining me on this call, and I am celebrating it with her and other three women. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel and you watch out for these videos. So for me, Mother's Day was with because I was not having I was not having the fulfillment of knowing that my mother loved me or cared or wanted me, because she passed on, and I never got to have a mother. So I am always thinking, oh well, maybe, hey Penny, welcome.
Hey, Busi, how are you?
Ah, this I hope works for us. We've been trying with Penny this morning to connect through Zoom to do this, but it hasn't been working. So I'm hoping that now we can finally do this. So Penny, I was just
Um, I'm
yeah,
I'm hoping so too. I'm hoping things are much better. I think we just have to record it and keep it. And it's just that now everybody's part of the conversation. You know what I mean? It's live, so it's no longer me and you talking and then posting it later. But what
yeah,
can we do? Here we are. Yep. Yeah.
yeah, no, abanye abantu sebangenile, but we are really pleased you guys are joining us, and it's all good. It's Mother's Day, and I see a lot of ladies that are joining, so it's great. Now, Penny, I was just saying that Mother's Day for me has never been an easy day. There were days where I didn't even want anything to do with Mother's Day. I just locked myself and never enjoyed it and never wanted to celebrate it, because obviously it meant a lot of hurt for me. And over the years, I've healed. I've healed from all those things. I've healed from abandonment. I've healed from feeling as if I'm a burden to other people's lives because I didn't have a mother. And now I'm finally enjoying it. So I know that, Penny, you are also a mommy. And how has your mothering journey been like?
Shucks. How's my mothering journey been like? I think from the get-go, I was excited about the daunting task of being a mother. When it happened to me, I was just, in my late 20s. So I felt like I had dealt with a lot of ups and downs, especially in my 20s, relationship-wise. So I just felt like this is an opportunity for me to direct my love, to direct my love to something that's going to be worthwhile. So that's the mindset that I had about it. But already I had been surrounding myself with like a lot of friends who were mothers. And because the elders at home, I was already like a big sister who had a lot of responsibility of like nurturing and looking after my siblings, especially my youngest brother, because he was born when I was like in my mid-teens. I always say that if I was a teenage mom, I would be like a mom to my little brother, because I remember my mom leaving him with me. Maybe the boy was like 2 weeks old, and he was like screaming. So, and at the time, you know, when I had my child, you know, that whole thing of like, you know, as a young woman, you know, you're by 27, by 28, you need to already be, people were married around me, they were having children. So it was almost like, if I don't focus here, I'm not going to make it into the group of people who are having babies. And, you know, as much as in my own head, I was like, I don't understand why I must be part of this pressure. But when it happened to me, I embraced it with all of me. Actually, it became my new, you know, obsession, from how I was when I was pregnant, how I carried myself, you know, to like, you know, my child being born. So it was an exciting time that I was looking forward to.
Yeah. Wow, and you also mentioning that you had to also, you know, be that deputy parent also to your siblings. And I mean, I wrote a book, and I wrote a chapter on black text, and how sometimes not everybody who has a womb that carried a baby, you know, can say they're a mother, but there are so many people who did not carry a baby, and they are actually proper mothers, because they were thrown in this mix of, you are going to be a mother. There is no, no one is asking you, you are going to be a mother starting today. And sometimes it happens when you're 13, sometimes it happens when you're 18, and you now have 5 people to mother all of a sudden, and you need to give them emotional, spiritual, physical mothering. And it's not easy, and a lot of people have gone through that, and a lot of people actually just need also to hear from all of that, because sometimes you don't know what to do. I remember when I was left with my sisters. My sister went through a whole deal when she started mothering me full time when my mother passed, and she had lost. We had a fire. The last time I saw my mother, we had a fire. We were staying in a shack, and my mother was mentally disturbed, so she started the fire at the shack. And I think at that time, that was the last day I ever saw her. I think she was trying to go life with me, you know. And I was able to take out that fire for about 3 times, and then the 4th time the fire was just, you know, a shack would take fire easily. And then my sister's stuff in that shack bent down to she lost everything. She was left with the towel she was wearing. Now she had me. Now I was also her child, and she was like in her early mid-20s. She was too young. She had been, and I remember one day she broke down and she just explained to me that she's not supposed to be doing this. She's not supposed to be my mother. She has her own problems. And from that day, for me, I started being a people's pleaser, because my goal was I wanted to make my sister proud of me, because she doesn't have to do this. So a lot of people today, we're saying Happy Mother's Day to all the women who had to mother people they were not prepared to mother, and they are mothering them today. A lot of people look at their older sisters and brothers and feel like they are mothers. Me too. I look to my sisters and feel like they are my mother. So when Mother's Day comes, actually, that is the mother I know. So you also have to be that mother, and it's probably not the easy thing, because you feel like sometimes you have to stop your life for these other people.
That's true. It's so, you know, it feels like that. It feels like you become an adult while you're still a child. You know, and we all have experienced it in different ways. Like, you know, I didn't stay with my mom when I was in primary school. So, which meant that then other members of my family, you know, were looking after me. But but I knew that my aunt is not my mother. You know, and you know, I had to follow her instructions. But then in a way, I sort of like had to mother myself. I had to look after myself. I had to firstly not lose my things, you know, wash my things. And then when my brother also came to join, it meant that I had to look out for him, you know, walking to school together, making sure that he's there, he doesn't get lost, you know, he gets home on time, he didn't lose his lunchbox. So that's already there. That's like barely before I was 13. And then and then you I come to live with my mom at 13, and then now I'm co-assistant in the house. Have you cooked? Is the laundry done? Have you ironed? Why are you playing? I'm hungry. Make me food. So those are the things that you grow up with. So automatically, by the time you become a mother, you've already had like 10, 15 years of experience, even before you've had your own, sexual experiences, which is, part of like where you actually automatically, if you conceive and you have a child, it comes from that point of view. So by the time when it happens, you kind of just like, oh Lord, it's a lot. And I have this, like I said, I had this memory of like my 2-week-old brother and me having to look after him. This child used to cry, and the older I got, and then I understood psychology, I was like, that's why probably I was just like not interested in people in relationships and having babies, because all I could think of was a baby that's just crying. Like, and I was like 14, 14, 15 there, and this baby is just crying like, oh yeah, khala lo mntana. And I don't have a breast. I can't give her a breast for him to keep quiet. So you can imagine, when I became a mom, my concern was like, you know what? I want babies who are like very quiet, who are not going to be crying. I need to understand how this thing that makes babies cry, what is it? I must just have an understanding of it, because I can't go through back to that thing that I had to deal with. And it's part of things like that trauma, as much as then before you know it as well, because now you're working, you have money, you must buy this child this. Literally, my baby brother became my responsibility, because I became interested in what school does he go to? What school is he going to go to? How is he going to fit in with other children? And this is like now me in my 20s telling my parents, this is a school he must go to. This is how he must be. Because now he's become part of my responsibility. So there are a lot of people who became mothers like that, who didn't give birth to children, and they've done an amazing job. And actually, some of them even say, you know what, I don't want to have a child because I did this whole thing. And sometimes, as society, we like, but come on, you need to, or some say, I'm not ready. I'm not going to do it now. I'll wait until I'm 40. That's also fine, because it's all those experiences that they went through. They've already been mothering. So just because they haven't given birth to a child, it doesn't mean that doesn't qualify them, to be a mother. And the world needs, it needs a lot of mothering.
Yeah. And Penny, thank you for sharing that, because I get so many women who are going through that they actually don't want to have kids anymore. They actually don't want that whole thing, because we have done it. You've got the t-shirt. You can tell a person, if the baby cries like this, it's like this. And the person's like, why are you not having kids? No, I've done that. I'm okay. So, and it's not bad to feel like, hey, I've done it all, I'm okay now, because maybe that's what it meant for you, that you already felt how it feels like to be a mother. But then, Penny, I also get a lot of clients that have also had the I don't know if it's a privilege or it's a bad thing, where their roles have changed. You become a parent to your parents.
Yes. Yeah. So that's another aspect. Mostly. Yeah. Look, I don't know if it's a Black people thing, guys, but I think white people go through it. It's just that in our case, it always involved us, financing them, and then obviously then you automatically they abdicate their role of like, calling you to order, or standing, or treating you like speaking to you like a child. It's like now they're consulting you on decisions which they're supposed to be making themselves as parents, and then you're like, but actually I'm the child here. I'm not the parent. Just because I can find the checks and pay for the things, you still need to make decisions for yourself, as parents. So it's part of almost like us, fixing ourselves or healing ourselves. But we need to be able to go through that with understanding, because what that does is that it stuns us. And I think also psychologically, you find that it's a place of hurt that, you know, where your own mother could be coming from. And then also it could be a place where if you're stuck in that place where, like, you know, I'm mothering my mother and I'm fine with this. And most of the time people are not conscious to it. You know, I only realized hindsight. I was like, oh, okay, this is dangerous. It's not going to work. Actually, I need to create a boundary and cut it and grow and, you know, and rise above it. Because what it does is that then you have a skewed sense of position and responsibility and who you are, because how are you mothering your own parents? You know what I mean? You can be caring, you can be kind, you can be supportive to them, you can be that, but you can't be now mothering you know, your own mother, because then it means that your mother can't discipline you. You know, your mother can't they can't nurture you. So already they moved from that position. So then, you know, you're likely to look for that elsewhere, or you're likely to walk around with that void. So it's like, yes, financially I'm in a position of strength, but my mother is still my mother. You know, they must never lose that. And also, because of experiences, some mothers lose that. You know, you might find that they had their children very young, so therefore they didn't really raise the child. Everybody else around them raised the child, so they've had that fear and inability to connect closer, you know, to that child as a mother child, you know, and then it blurs, you know, some lines, you know, somehow. But we, you know, when we know better, we do better. So I always say that we are one of the most blessed generation, because now we have access to information. We can unlearn these things, and then what we can do is that we can mirror those things to our mothers. You know, we don't have to sit them down and give them the assertion, you know, but we can act and carry ourselves in a certain way that takes them to a place of healing for themselves. You know, whether it's cutting, you know, codependency, you know, having boundaries, you know, speaking to them with truth and love, you know, and helping them identify the hurting places about them, and that could heal them. You know, also we could also say, you know, these are the things that I'm going to avoid because I see these traits in my mother, but I'm helping her heal through those. But obviously that takes a lot of personal work that you have to do on yourself, and healing work, and go out there with that understanding, because also you can take it out on other people outside, on other young women, on other mothers, you know, that you have to encounter. Somebody's trying to nurture you at work and you're like, but you're not my mother, don't mother me here.
True, it happens all the time that you lost your mother, and because you've heard so much from this thing of not having a mother. Every time anybody who's trying to nurture you, you don't want to. Anybody who's trying to support you, you don't want to, because guess what? I lost my mother, and now I'm a mother to my mother.
Yeah.
So these are the hard conversations that we need to know, that these things happen to us for a reason, but they are not normal. Most of them, they shouldn't be normal, and we need to allow ourselves to, well, maybe forgive ourselves for that, and then be able to heal and move on, because they can be a real problem. Especially a lot of people also, when they do that to their fathers or their mothers, you find them getting into relationships where they want the partner to be a father to them, or now they want this person to be a mother to them, and it's a mess. It's a mess now, because I mean, now I thought I was getting a boyfriend, and this person wants me to be their mother. Hey, well, now what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Yeah, I'm not your mother. You know, or
your girlfriend, not your mother.
And, or you're looking for a boyfriend, and then you're looking for your father, and this guy's like, yo, man, I just want to be your boyfriend. I'm not here to be a father. It's too much work.
Hi, you want what from me? So, and you find that you are losing out on a good experience of having a good relationship, because you messed it up at that point, and you need to go fix it at that point, and then so that you can have the good life on the side. Wow, thank you, Penny, for that. Now, the other thing that is important is, like I said, we are now going to have kids that will be 35 years someday, and will be 45 years. They will have to heal from the wounds we have gave them. Like, God knows, my kids already have wounds. And I can just see when you have a wound, when I have wounded you, when I wounded you, I know, like, oh my God, that is it. It's done. But what things should we try to do as mothers? Because not saying we're not gonna wound our kids is almost impossible, because it's a good thing in a way for us to wound them so that they can heal from those wounds and learn to be better people, maybe even better people than us. But what are the specific things that you now have learned over the years as a mother to say, I need to at least try to let my kids look at life in this way, or get my kids to function in this way? I'll give you one example with my kids. Just yesterday, I found out that my 8-year-old doesn't know about heaven or hell. Now, I'm like, this child, she has no idea what is hell, she has no idea what is heaven. So now what happened was, they never went to normal schools because I'm homeschooling them. So whatever I'm homeschooling them is what I want them to know. So that conversations don't go in that. And then their Sunday school, when you teach them spirituality, they learn about allowing emotions. They learn about not judging themselves. They learn about not judging other people. They learn about being good to the society. They learn about being good to themselves. How does that look like? So that's their Sunday school talk. And their school talk is something else. So now I find out that she doesn't know about heaven and hell. And she's like, Mommy, there's hell. What is hell? Yo, I was like, okay, I probably failed as a man.
No.
Actually, I don't even want to have this conversation. So those are the things that when I was 8, I knew exactly what hell was. And I was trying very hard to go to heaven. So my daughter does not have an idea, because she doesn't go to a society school and nobody's telling her about these things. So what's up with when she's 35 and she finally finds out, or she lands in hell and it's like, my mother never told me about this. What are we supposed to tell them? What are we not supposed to tell them? How are we supposed to get this thing done right?
I don't know if we need to be concerned on right or wrong. I think that's another thing, that this world of right or wrong has gotten us into a lot of trouble. And that we need to make different choices, I think, than what our parents made. And I think, there's some core values that are universal, like kindness is universal. For example, there are things that are universal that we need to realize that, they work for the collective. But then we have come to realize that there's some things that we were raised on that were harmful to us. So maybe we need to look at, like, does it add value, or or is it, I don't even know if adding value is, because it's like, so because when something is harmful, it does a lot more to you. And then beyond adding value, is it enhancing, to the goodness of what we would like our children to become? Because we can only like and aspire to what they would like to become. We can't say this is what we want them to be, because once we say we want them to be, then we are trying to curate them in the language of today. We're trying to package them to how they're supposed to be. And I think it's a journey of life that they're going into. We almost like need to decide what are the values that we need to instill to give to them. Love, protection, teach them kindness, a sense of community, responsibility, self-reliance, like contributing to making the world a better place. And I think historically, obviously, we've all like leaned on religion to be able to do that. But we also need to be able to realize, those of us who have come to a place who know that actually these values don't have to be associated with religion. They just have to be associated with humanness, with human kindness. You know what I mean? And then there are things that were instilled in us about how wrong they are when we were young, and then they put the fear in us. And then we actually realize that human conditions and you know, put people in sometimes in those circumstances that societally we can judge people and say that is wrong, but we're not taking time to look into the circumstances that they might have gotten them in there. You know, and then yes, you know, that being a harmful person in the world, or causing harm to other people, you know, that is not a good thing. It comes with consequences and things like that. But then at the same time, people need to know that there's intentions. You know, what are the intentions that that inform all of those things, and the rest of it really is not up to us, because we've come to learn that you know, there's a wealth system. You know, there's a schooling system that indoctrinates certain things which are even more harmful in the long run because they spend 8 days there. You know what I mean? Or there are religious doctrines, you know, that are instilled at a certain age, and then it takes you a lifetime to recover out of that. So then if we're not having honest conversations about, you know, again, I'm gonna say, when you know better, you do better. You know, you can take a moment to reflect on, like, you know, my parents were not exposed to that, therefore that's why they dealt with this conversation this way with me. Then therefore I can't address the conversation in a similar way, because I know better. You know, I'm more informed. You know, I have a better view, and it doesn't mean that then you have to hold on to, you know, if my parents knew better, then I could have become a better person. You can become a better person now, where you are right now here, based on the information that you find out today. Because once that thing comes to light to you today, it means you have an opportunity for you to change it. You know, that's how we look at it. You know, instead of being you know, whether we call it, you know, habits or generational curses or whatever it is. Once I know about it, it means that I'm enlightened about it, and therefore I have an opportunity to change the cause of that. And it's little things. You know, it's really little things. It's things that you might have felt strongly about. You know, for people like ourselves who are like single mothers, you know the traits and the things that didn't work in your previous relationships and things about your ex-partner. You know, when you see it in your child, you need to consciously be so present that you're not amplifying those things. You know, in the child, that you spend time, you know, dealing with the opposite, instead of like you know, obsessing about that and saying, or being fearful about that. Oh, they're gonna become like this person. Oh, there's that thing. Oh, they, you know, because you're contributing by constantly, you know, focusing on it. So watch your child.
Not make them be that thing.
Exactly. You know, and the most powerful thing that we have as mothers is the tongue. Is our mouth. Is that we you know, we create with it. You know, we create with it, and you know, we have the power to create with this tongue and with our words, and affirm and build and encourage, you know, and harness and all of those things. But I think you have to do the work on yourself. You know, as a young woman, and if it so happens that you become a mother and you haven't done that, use the journey of becoming a mother to help you heal yourself. You know, to heal yourself, and then practice on your children as this new garden of this thing. You know, that you're planting, instead of like, but I'm still so hurt. You know, I was not even ready to be a mother. Now I'm a kid on this. It's like, okay, I'm dealing with my head, but I'm gonna raise amazing children who are well-rounded, who are this, and these are the things, the little things that I'm gonna do. You know, and I think those little things is what builds on the. They count. You know, they say it's what is it? It's easier to build a child than it is to fix a man. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, exactly.
So Penny, what things do you notice that you are teaching your kids right now that you were not taught? And also, what other things would you like to teach them that you were not taught?
So I think because of like my experiences around, you know, emotional health and mental health. You know, I'm trying to teach my kids to express their emotions, to talk about their fears and concern, to not. I was left to my own devices. You know, like especially around, you know, things like it's like I had to figure it out. You know, I had to figure it out. Like I just had to figure it out. I mean, I knew that my parents cared about me because, you know, I live with them in a home. I'm loved. You know, I have a home. But it's not like I was not told that every day as a child. And remember, part of it is because I didn't live with them. You know, so when I came to live with them, you know, I already seen what other parents do with their children and whatever. You know, so it's like, so I try to do that. But I try to hear them. I try to hear their ideas. You know, you know. Silly things like you'll eat what I tell you. I don't say things like that. I ask them, what do you want to eat? You know. Yeah, eat your food, damn it. Yeah, other people are hungry. I'm like, okay, what would you like to eat? Do you like eating this? You know, is this your favorite thing? How, you know, shouldn't we make it differently? I mean, like, what are your ideas of things that you should eat? Okay, what would you like to watch? You know, you know. Like I'm constantly I'm conscious of like when I you know I make that time to do that and then I'm like, my work is very important, I'm very busy, I'm doing this, please guys, can you support me in this? You know what I mean? Like I try to do that. And then also it's like you see your schoolwork, I'm not sitting breathing down your neck, you're gonna give me A's. I'm like, listen, you need to work hard on your work, because trust me, you know what I mean? I'm never here. I'm always going to work. So your schoolwork is your responsibility. It's not mine. You know, it's no one is breathing down my neck. You must produce this for me. And if you don't produce this, you can't get this.
Yeah.
Hey.
Make me proud. Why should I
make me proud? I'm already proud of you. Like I'm already proud of you, the fact that you're my child. Yeah. Yeah, I'm already proud of you because you're my child, and that's that. It's like there's nothing like, I mean, whatever else you know, these are your, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What are the things that you want to do? You know what I mean? I don't remember having those conversations. I had to figure it out myself, what my dreams and my goals are, what I'd like to become, you know. And then I'm encouraging them to write out the stuff. You know what I mean? Okay, where are they? They're not here. So they're on the other side. So my daughter is good with like writing those things, you know. So my son is more of a conversation. And then there's moments. And I've also realized that, you know, the other one is very emotive and expressive. The other one, you know, is like they're emotive, but they keep to themselves. It's like, so there's difference. So that's just how it is. There's no one size fits all here. You know, that's the other thing. It's like, I'm not like my, you know, we're separate human beings. We're not the same. You're not the same. You know, and it's like, yeah, and then it's like teaching them that, you know, you have to respect each other. You have to also that you and your brother, this is like your best friend for life. You guys need to work. You need to fight it out and work it out and know that out there in the, I'm like, I'm not even part of this. You and him have been in the same place in my womb. I was never there. So you guys, this is your world. Someday I'm not going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, and then also that you need to learn to come to me with anything when it's at its smallest. You know, we can't wait for things to get so big. Like I found out that you've been dealing with this thing for so long.
Yeah, we
like you need to
tell our parents and for tip. I mean, people got pregnant and they only said like 2 days before
they gave it. You know what I'm saying? So those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. Like I need to know at the smallest level of a thing, you know, the little discomfort as early as possible. You know, whether somebody said "mwah" to you today, I needed to know they did that. Yes, yeah. That's not nice. You know, how did you feel about that? Because and that's for me what I'm conscious about. You know, and you know, also things that other people used to do to me. I'm careful that I don't, you know, oh my goodness, you know, you're a little bit chubby, you're a little bit this. I don't have that conversation.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm not saying any of. Yeah, I'm not saying, oh, you're so tiny, my baby. Oh, no. No. So it's it's those kind of stuff. And then, you know, also it's I'm also looking for like traits of myself in them, you know, that excite me. I'm looking for like joyous moments with them, because I don't know if my parents do that and if they ever express that, you know. So I'm trying to be like, when they do, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of me, you know, and acknowledge, you know, things like that.
Yeah. And you know, talking about this thing of saying, please let me know as soon as anything is weird is happening around you, or you don't understand, or this. I mean, I think that panic is so big because you know, our country is one of the best countries when it comes to sexual violence, to all sorts of abuse. We just like, we are good people in South Africa, but we just know how to abuse each other also very well. So, and some things were normalized, and we grew up being normal. I remember one day I was at a corporate and I was doing a workshop on workplace bullying. And this lady was explaining that this thing of say, hey, dude, Lundombi, is it like okay or not? Because when she grew up, that was supposed to be a compliment. Hey, dude, Lundombi, what? But then now, by the way, I don't want to be dude, Lundombi anything right now. So
yeah,
if we teach and coming to talking about these young women that we are raising, when they get to the late teens and early adulthood, if we never told them these things, they should come back to us and talk to us about them. They will get abused, not even knowing they are getting abused, because that also is very easy in this country specifically. The culture has been like, oh no, a man is supposed to. Don't talk, you know what, da, 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 da. So those things, we were told how to be a proverb, why? How
Proverb
to be
31, you must be a lady, girls don't do that, you know, who's going to marry you when you're like that? So, no, I'm not for that. Everybody must discuss what they're going to eat, my son and my daughter. So I tell them the reason we are cooking in this house is because you two need to eat. So even though May, when she helps us, I'm like, you need to consult them. It's like, Badlani, I guess you're cooking for them, you know. And then I tell them, yeah, when I'm tired of you people only wanting to eat spaghetti and mince. You need to realize that there's so much more out in the world. What do you want to eat? It's your stomach. It's what's good for you. You need to know what's nourishing to you. I buy this groceries because you guys must eat it. So you need to write the grocery of the things that you want. If you haven't written it, I'm not buying it, because I can feed myself whenever, however, the way I want, you know. So it's like be responsible for that. It's not, this is not what we have. This is what we have, and then you must sort that out. And then and also like, you know, starting to work as in partnership as they are right now, you know. And also it's like this thing of like, oh, so at school, you know, at school they said we must wear tights under skirts. You know, black girls are sexualized very early. I'm like, why are they telling you that? You know, I'm like, why are they telling you that? No, because, you know, mommy, when we're sitting there, the boys, I'm like, those boys must be told that they must behave themselves. Why are you guys taking, so that even this one in this house must know what's out there. He can't repeat the same thing to other people's children, you know. So we're having those tough conversations.
It's abused to say you must wear a copper head and a jumpsuit that comes to here and toes, because that is how you make people not rape you. I mean,
no. And so I'm like, in this house you're free, and if you're not free in here, you know, also, you know, so it's little things like that. Like there's no, hey, take off your feet off my couch.
Okay, but there was plastic. You remember those couches covered in plastic because mommy's were doing.
So it's like I'm like I want my children to be free, and I don't suffer fears of like when they come to your house, Busi, they're gonna put their feet on their couch. I don't suffer such fears. It's not my concern. I doubt that they'll do that.
House, your children, deal with them.
Like, I'm not worried. So it's little things like that. But then, you know, the difficult stuff about, so there's no, hey, okay, we can't talk about, how do you feel? You've seen these stories in the news, because see, they discuss these things at school already. They discuss, okay, there's a child who's been sexually abused, and you know, what is your understanding about that? Concern, conversations with my son about concern. So what do you understand? Based on like, so have they had this conversation? This is what concern is, but what do you understand? And then if I feel like, okay, there's no clear understanding now, I'm like, you're 11 now. Okay, we'll see if we can try that conversation at 12. Like, I feel like we are on a journey, because I didn't want to wake up at 15 and I'm like, let's talk about consent. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about. It was like, we test this conversation.
Yeah, already there. Like, wow, why today? Because we've done this. Like, wow. And I mean, also, our kids get to do these things earlier than us anyway.
Yeah, and then I think because they get to do that, I think more than anything else is, instead of, I don't want to feel guilty that I was not the first to tell them about this, but I want to understand what is their understanding about it, and then that they know that we can openly have a conversation. So it shouldn't be like it's an embarrassing topic, or I must come with a presentation chart of like, these are the warning signs. It's like, okay, what do you understand? What do you think? Okay, so what happened? You know what I mean? Like, it's a constant conversation that is growing, that is evolving, that comes with no experience, just information, and then experiences happen. And I'm really also just saying to myself that I'm hoping for the best, because I don't know how it's going to turn out. But I'm not going to be dying in silence. I'm not going to be fixated with the guilt. I'm also not going to be like holding a warning sign of how we live in the wild wide west and how horrible the world is, because I don't want to raise them with that fear of like, I'm the only person who can protect them, because that's impossible. First of all, I'm a single mother. How am I going to do it? I need to trust that they need to learn to look after themselves, to protect themselves, to know that the world is dangerous and it's evil. But these are the precautions that you can take. And then the rest, we must just trust God and trust the process. What else can I do?
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Penny, for that. Thank you so much. Our kids have to learn life as it comes, and we are there to just guide them. And we can only do is guide them. And I love what you're saying about not feeling guilty about the fact that, wow, they found the information somewhere. Because like right now, I think deep down in me, I was really hoping that my daughter would find out about health somewhere else, and I didn't have to do this, Like, I was really hoping to be the one who comes and figures it out. But she has no idea now, and I'm not ready to even talk to her about that. So she might go somewhere and find it somewhere. I'm not going to feel guilty about that, because maybe I'm not in the right space to be the one who gives her that conversation, because maybe myself, I'm looking for more answers around that. So let them know that we are also humans. We can fail. We can get it wrong. So, but we allow them to be who they want to be. So, wow, thank you for that. So, Penny, as we are about to close, one important thing that you learned from your mother that took you throughout life.
So the one important thing that I learned from my mother is that I should never allow anyone to put me down, and to stand up for myself. And obviously, that's not how she said it, but that's the constant thing that I feel that my mother, instilled in me to have confidence in myself, and that the confidence in myself will carry me through. Like, and she used to use a silly analogy, and I used to just crack. When I think about it now, I crack up, because like, it makes sense. Like, if you walk into a place, because obviously my mom grew up in the village, but she decided to come and live in the city. And obviously, when you leave the village and you come and live in the city, it's like everyone in the village says, so you think you're a city girl? And then she's like, yes, because I've been exposed to better things. Like, she's unapologetic about things like that. And then she says, if you walk into a room, you're not gonna, she says, I'm not gonna walk in the room and sit at the back. I'm gonna go sit in the front. You know, because I think I'm that important. I need to be close up, you know, to where the action is at. And then she says, and then she'll say things like, you know, and you know how people in the village, they'll come into your house and then there'll be 2 chairs here, and then the woman will just come in and just sit on the floor, you know, and then she says, that's what we do when we're in the village. I'm definitely not doing it here. I'm not sitting at the back. No, I'm sitting at the front. And if there's no sign that says it's reserved, I'm sitting there. And even if it's reserved, I'm gonna, who's it reserved for?
If they want to remove me,
who is it reserved for? But I'm constantly, you know, I'm gonna have confidence to take up a position, you know, for myself. And now, you know, I can add so many layers to it, because initially when she used to say, or she used to also, another thing that she used to say, you know, whether you're a lawyer or a doctor or a judge or what, you know, when we're in the room, the one thing that's a fact is that we all do go to the bathroom. So we are human. Before God, we're all equal. You know what I mean? And yeah, we go hungry, we cry. And then she was like, so basically for me, that was about, you're not your title. You know, you're a human being first, you know, behind all those titles. You can't treat people with disrespect and disdain because when you're a powerful penny, you know, you have to treat people with respect. But then also, so that means, Guti, it's not about your, you know, what you are. It's about who you are. And I shouldn't be walking around with a sense of self-importance. As much as I'm confident in myself, you know, everyone is equally, you know, as important. Treat them with the respect that you expect the people to treat with. But also, the other thing that she also taught was, you know how because hey, so and so is this person, and then everyone is just like timid around them, and then they're scared, or you know, they're a bully, or whatever the situation is. And then she'll say things like, how do I translate it in English? Sometimes you see, when you look just when you look at a window, and then you see what looks like a bomb, you know, looks like a bomb, like someone is there's a person there, or there's a, you know. So sometimes you need to poke the situation to realize, actually, is this thing the thing that the people say that it is? Because there might be a dead person. You must find out, you must be inquisitive to find things out first. So there might be a dead thing, and then you or it's a toy dog. I'm thinking if she had grown out seeing stuffy toys or whatever, she would have said, there's a dog that's lying there. And then you know, and you think it's a real dog. Meanwhile, it's just like a lying thing. So like, don't be fooled by the you know, this perception that people build around things. You know, find out for yourself, and then have a sense of content about that thing for yourself. You know, this information must be first hand to you. It mustn't be because no Ubusu say, hey, you know, angeke siyenze le nto Instagram ngeke yenzakale, and then I'll say now because you heard from Ubusi. Try it out for yourself. Dipstick your finger in there. Is this thing hot? You know, and learn and say, that's how heat feels like, because that's your experience. You know, so in a way that for me meant, you know, have your own experiences. You know, don't let other people's fears encroach on, like, you know, things that you'd like to do for yourself. Try things out for yourself. And you know, I mean, she would say this in Sipulana, so obviously I'm doing 5 translations of what you know, she would say. I'm translating it from language, I'm translating it from the era that she lived in, and the context, you know, in a village, and then to like me being a modern woman, a contemporary woman, you know, a globally exposed woman, things who understand things of consciousness, and then I just see, wow, that's actually that's how it is. You know, if I don't try things for myself, then I don't have my own experiences. I'm living my life using other people's experiences.
Wow, Penny. I love the thing of go experience life, go find out. Don't listen to when people say we must all run this side. You just continue running, and you're not even asking, hey, why are we running?
We don't know. Why are we running? Where are we going? Are we chasing someone? You know, how many kilometers are we running? Or even better, I actually don't like running. Can I walk this thing?
Yes, because I mean, we find ourselves now, whoever is now having this, I don't have this, I am not married, I am not having this, I don't, why am I, I mean,
No,
They,
so
they,
my children go to the school. My children speak this way. My children do this. My children, yo, guys, my children. So I guess like, well, my children don't do that. Or my children don't like that, actually.
okay, we're not going for that. It's fine. Yeah. So yeah. And Penny, because today is Mother's Day, and I think it might be a very good day for a lot of people with moms, even for us who don't have moms, to just go and have another conversation with our mom. It could be a conversation of what things you as my mom did wrong that I would like you to know about today. Like, you know, you did that, and for me it meant that, and it wasn't something I was happy with, and I want to heal from that. Do you have something like that, a conversation that you could have with your mom today to say, hey, by the way, you know what, I'm grateful for what you did, but just there, that thing wasn't amazing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I've had those conversations, you know, with my mom. Some of them we've had them like in a comfortable moment. I actually I use the opportunity of like, you know, when I feel like my mother wants to mother me, to have those conversations. I mean, yeah, where she wants to mother me, or she wants me to mother her, you know, because also what my mother can do with me being the eldest one is she would want me to like side with her when she's when she's dealing with my siblings, and I'm like no, you know, you have to accept my brother. It's not my problem. And she's like, but you know, you need to speak to him. I'm like, but I'm not speaking to him. I'm like, I can speak to him, but you must know that he's gonna hear what I'm saying, but he's not gonna agree with you because of this. But the thing is, yeah, but also the thing is that you must allow him to do that. Or my sister, you know, so I always tease my mom and say my mom and my sister like are the same. You know, they don't come to the middle. You know, it's like it's either it's my way or the other way. You know, so me on the other hand, I'm like, okay, that's very interesting, but I'm not taking any of your sides. You'll find me here in the middle of the situation. And then the same thing, if I am dealing with something and then they come to me and they agree, I'm like, just because you agree doesn't mean that. So consistency. So I said to her, you have to be consistent like that. And then whatever you're saying has to be driven by, yes, you love them, but you need to understand loving them, control, being overbearing, all of those things. And obviously you must understand that now I need to bring it down, to her level of language and understanding. And finding that, because at times, these things flare up when you're really hurt by something or you're upset, and then it's trying to find opportunities where you can be able to address that. And then also sometimes I just let her be, like when she's being like a baby. Like when she's being a baby, I'm like, okay, consciously I'm gonna stand in that gap and be the big sister. But after the fact, we're gonna have to address how, like, really honestly, we really needed that right now. So and for me, that's probably the closest that I come to being my mom's friend, where I'm like direct with her, and I'm not hiding behind the fact that she's my mom, and I'm I don't hide the fact that you're my mom and I'm not gonna tell you. I'm like, no, but Ma, you can't do that. Like you really can't do that. And it's like, hi, Bo. I'm like, yes, you can't. And we're not talking about it. And because sometimes that's that. It's like we think we shouldn't be firm, with our moms. And then what that does is that, because then what we do, we pretend. The worst thing that I don't like is like giving a perception that I have a perfect relationship with you when we don't have the perfect relationship, or letting,
pretend it is there.
No, or making you believe that things are okay and it's not there. So I'm like, if I can't start with the people I care about, how am I going to do that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't tell her the things that I feel, but when Busi, all the things that I know that I don't like about my mother. I'm like, what is the point? What must happen? I spoke to, I told Busi, this is how I feel about my mother, whatever. It's like, find the courage, find a way, and again, I don't think it's something that starts, that you do it like in one day. Fa, 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 fa. I think one of the, yeah, it's a thing that we build. I think it's like children. It's like, you know, you can't start wanting to have a relationship with your child at 15. You know, if you didn't spend time with them when they were 4, when they were 6, when they were 7, when they were 8, how are you now? You know, if you don't know what they like, you don't know what their fears are, you don't know what they're concerned. How are you going to address it when they have a crisis? How are they going to open up to you? You know, and so those are the kind of things. It's like I've always been frank and open with my parents, and even if I don't agree with a decision, and they say, you know, please, can you do this? I'm like, you must know, I don't want to do this. Okay, I'm doing it because you want me to do it. And when I come back and say I can't do it anymore, at least you know what my position was about the thing. You know, because then I'm not coming to you and saying, yeah, you made me do that thing. I never wanted to do it. I am so angry. And hanana. Because then, yeah, then it's like, I forgot. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say it? So I don't want to have those kind of grudges. I don't want to feel like that. And I'd rather tell you now how I feel. And then, you know, we stew over it or whatever the process is. Especially because you're my mother. I never want to feel like, oh, I can't call my mother right now.
Hey.
Because, yeah, you know. And then I think I was, you know, what helped me is that I was aware of things very early. So there's moments where I had to nip it. Like, I don't, you know, this is not, you know, you want my children to be speak and spam all the time. I actually don't want them to be speak and spam all the time. They must get dirty and play. They mess up the clothes. I'm like, I don't care whether they mess up the clothes. You know, we'll wash them. You know, you know. So, and it's such a, you know, young mothers struggle with things like that about their mothers. Oh, she wants my children to be like this, and then I must do this. This is what my mother wants. I'm afraid. Haibo, if you're afraid of your mother, I respect her, I love her, I honor her, but I am not afraid of her. And I don't want to be afraid of anyone. I want to honor them, I want to love them, I want to respect them. I want to be free.
Wow, Penny. That's the one thing I love about you. You are just so open. Like a person knows what they're getting. Like there aren't any agendas around that. But a lot of women have that issue. How would you say a woman that doesn't have a good relationship with their mother because they're trying to please, they are trying to be who their mother wants them to be? How can they start the process of healing that?
I think you have to be very compassionate. That's number one. Like you have to do it with compassion. So you have to almost like put yourself in their shoes. You know, you have to put yourself in their shoes. But you have to empathize versus sympathizing. You know, when I sympathize with you, I sit with you in the hole. I think that's what it says. Like when I empathize with you, I can sit outside the hole and say, how are you doing in there? Do you think you want to come out? And then I'm like, okay, so what do you think we should do? Can I find a step ladder? You know, what is it? Do you want to talk about what it is? Do you want to come out here? Are you ready to face everyone or face whatever it is? Because when I sympathize, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's in the hole. Oh, you know, I'm jumping in the hole with you and all of us are miserable. It's like, I need to be truthful with compassion. But then at the same time, I need to be honest about it. So I need to say, you know, I'm not going to be able to sit here the whole day, but I can try and get you the help that you need. You know, maybe it's best you come out of the hole and you sit here by this place and we have this conversation. Because one of the mistakes that we do is we cover up, you know, the people who loves pain. We allow them to wallow in it, and then it becomes a thing that we can manipulate them with it. You know, and then, you know, and then as mothers, you know, we can really make our children feel guilty, you know, for things. It's very easy to use guilt to parent. It's very easy to be like, you know, I sacrificed everything for you. You know, you need to have an honest conversation with yourself, like why you know, the decisions that you're making for yourself. You know, and then I think for me, being a single mother, I had to look at it that way. And then I have an honest conversation with my mom, and I say to her, there's things that I'm going to experience and that I go